friends, this will be the ninth class of accounting. Right, in this, we will be continuing the previous slide of some of the basic terms and very useful terms in the accounting. As in the previous class, we have discussed Indian accounting standards, right? Why it is used to converge towards global standards. That means each and every company should follow the standards all over the world. Then there should be a transparency of financial statements. That means the standards that are in the accounting standards will lead to transparency. That means each and everything is noted or it is put down in the accounting books. Then comparability of financial statements. That means if at all there are two companies that are working globally or in India, then in order to compare this, we need a same standard base, and this Indian accounting standards provide the comparability standards. Then enhanced disclosure requirements. That means as we discussed, it will show complete details of accounting. That means what is the original cost of the value, original cost of the machine, what is the depreciation amount, right? This is completely mentioned in the accounting books. That means if for, as we discussed, for 10,000, 2,000 amount of repair for a machine is too much. But whereas for Reliance Industry, if this 2,000 whose net worth is 4,000 crores, okay, this 2,000 doesn't matter, and mentioning it or not mentioning it in the accounting books does not affect on the decision making or management. This is nothing but enhanced disclosure requirements. If you want the handout of this, you can join the Telegram channel. The link will be provided in description. Okay, you can read this International Financial Reporting Standards, as we have discussed earlier, IFRS, and also the Indian accounting standards, right? Indian accounting standards, as we discussed in previous class, that in order to match to the Indian system, the International Financial Reporting Standards were modified according to the India, and it was called as Indian accounting standards, right? If you want to read it in detail, you can read it, but whatever we teach in this class is more than enough or sufficient for the examination. Now, the main concept of this class is depreciation. What exactly is depreciation? Depreciation, it is the fall in the value of tangible fixed assets because of its usage or with efflux of time or due to obsolescence or accident. What does it mean? See, first we need to understand what is tangible fixed asset. The tangible things are nothing but the things that you can touch, that you can feel, okay, are nothing but are called as tangible assets. It may be a machine, it may be the cloth that is in your stocks, or it may be any of the equipment that you can touch and feel, that is nothing but tangible fixed assets. Okay, and due to usage of this, there will be a flex of time, or due to accident it is loss, or due to usage the wear and tear will happen in the machine, and this wear and tear is calculated in terms of depreciation. Depreciation is charged on all fixed assets except land, because unlike other fixed assets such as machinery, it has infinite economic value. That means, see, the land's value goes on increasing day by day, right? Its value does not decrease at all. But whereas the usage of machine will lead to the decrease in value of that machine. So depreciation is applicable to all fixed assets except land. Do remember this, it can be asked in examinations. Now we will try to understand what are the objectives of providing depreciation. Why should we provide depreciation? See, to ascertain true results of operation, to present true and fair view of the financial position, to accumulate funds for the replacement of assets, to ascertain true costs of production. We will try to understand with very simple examples. One is to ascertain true result of operation. What does it mean? See, if you think that your profit is 10,000, right, and if you don't calculate the wear and tear of the machine in the form of depreciation, then you are not ascertaining true results of operations. In order to calculate true result of operation, you should deduct 1000 rupees. If your depreciation 1000 from this 10k, then your true result of operation is nothing but 9k. The fair value will be 9k. Next, to present true and fair view of financial position. That means, see, there is another concept called residuary price. Residuary price, which means if at all you are using machine for 5 years and you want to resell that machine, at that time, what the amount that you will be getting, that means if at all assume that your machine was 1 lakh rupees while purchasing, but after 5 years if at all you are reselling it, it will give only 10,000 rupees for you. That means this is the residuary value for this. Now, in order to calculate the financial position of your company, you should always deduct this residuary value, okay, from your assets. Right, then it will give the true and fair view of your financial position. Next, to accumulate funds for the replacement of assets. Just imagine a machine cost is 10 crore, right, and you are using the machine for 10 years. Then it means after 10 years you should replace this machine. But it is not possible for you to replace this machine at a time because the amount is huge, 10 crore. So what you will do? In the span of 10 years, each year you will take 1 crore aside as depreciation amount. Okay, then this accumulated value, whatever the value is accumulated, you will use this accumulated 10 crore in 10 years, use it for replacement of assets. Therefore, this is nothing but accumulation of the funds for the replacement of assets. Next, to ascertain true cost of production. As we said, the cost of depreciation will be deducted from the profit, then you will get the net profit. That is nothing but true cost of production. Now we will understand what are the factors that are affecting depreciation. One is cost of asset, then expected useful life, and estimated residual value. What is cost of asset? It is nothing but the original cost. Okay, what is cost of asset? It is original cost. That means your machine has cost you 10 lakh rupees. This is cost of assets. Then, for how many years you are using this machine? Just imagine it is for 5 years. Then it is expected useful life for 5 years. Estimated residual value. That means after 10 years, if the machine cost is 10 lakh, after 5 years, if you are going to resell this machine, you are getting just 5 lakh rupees. This 5 lakh that you are getting in order to resell is nothing but estimated residuary value. Now there is a simple formula in order to calculate the depreciation. We will see that. See, depreciation is nothing but depreciable amount divided by estimated useful life. This will give you depreciable amount. We can try to understand with easy example. There are some other two terms that we need to explain. See, if at all your machine is costing you 1 lakh rupee, 1 lakh 10,000 rupees, how it is calculated? See, just a minute. If your machine is costing you 1 lakh, then you should add cost of asset including expenses for installation, commissioning, trial run. What does it mean? If I have taken a machine of 1 lakh rupees and installation cost for this machine is 10,000 rupees, okay, then my total cost of this machine is 1 lakh 10,000 rupees, right? Total cost is 1 lakh 10,000 rupees. Now this amount should be used in order to depreciate the amount year wise. Next, what is again used? See, the factors that is used for measurement of depreciation. Second is estimated useful life of the asset, as we have taken it as 5 years. Then estimated scrap value. What is the scrap value? It is nothing but residuary value. That means when you are going to resell this machine after 5 years, what is the amount that you are getting? That is nothing but scrap value. For example, a machinery is purchased for rupees 1 lakh 10,000. As I said, 1 lakh is cost 10,000 rupees installation cost. So it is 1 lakh 10,000 rupees. The residuary value is estimated as rupees 10,000. That means after 5 years, you are reselling it at 10,000 rupees only. Then it is estimated that machinery will work for 5 years. This is estimated years. The cost will be allocated as depreciation in the accounting period will be calculated as. How it will be calculated? One is acquisition cost. that is original cost 1,10,000 rupees including installation. Then second is residual value. What is it? After 5 years, if at all you are selling, you will get 10,000 rupees. Now, in order to calculate this depreciable amount, you need to remember this formula. In order to calculate the depreciable amount, acquisition cost minus residual value, you will get depreciation amount. Okay, hope you understood. See, 1,10,000 is the acquisition cost minus 10,000 is the residual value. Totally, I am getting 1 lakh rupees as a depreciable amount. Now, what is the estimated useful life of the asset? It is 5 years. See, as discussed earlier, what's depreciation? Depreciation is nothing but depreciable amount divided by estimated useful life. That is 1 lakh divided by 5. It is 20,000 per year. Hope you understood. Here, the depreciation amount for per year, it is 20,000 rupees. Next, in the previous lectures, hope you remember that we have discussed straight line method and diminishing balance method, or it is also called as write down method, write down value method. See, if you don't remember, we will try to re-revise it. If you are calculating or depreciation per year and you are taking original cost, okay, let's imagine 10,000 rupees for machine, original cost. Every year you are calculating depreciation on this amount itself, that is original cost itself. It is nothing but straight line method, because you will get a straight line in this. But whereas in diminishing balance method or write down value method, if the machine cost is 10,000 for 1 year, you are calculating depreciation on this original cost. And for the second year, see, if the depreciation amount is 1,000 rupees, then the remaining amount will be 9,000 rupees, right? Now, the depreciation for the next year will be calculated on this amount, this 9,000 rupees minus 1,000, okay, that will be 8,000. So, in this, you will get the graph in this way, right, in the downward format. Therefore, it is called as diminishing balance method or write down value method. And we also discussed unit of production method. In this, each product or unit is considered in order to depreciate the amount. See, straight line method results in constant charge over the useful life if the residual value of the asset does not change. Results, diminishing balance method or write down value method results in decreasing charge over the useful life. Units of production method results in charged based on the expected use or output. See, straight line method and units of production method is not so important for exam, but this write down value method or diminishing balance method is very useful and very important. So do remember, or if at all you have not watched the previous videos, please watch that, because it is important for exam. Next, why this write down value method or diminishing balance method is important? Because the income tax rules, as per India income tax rules, prescribes the diminishing balance method or write down value method except in the case of assets of an undertaking engaged in generation and distribution of power. That means wherever the income tax is paid, everywhere this diminishing balance method or write down value method is used, and it should be used as per income tax rules. Okay, except the power distribution companies. Till now we discussed about the tangible assets. Okay, tangible assets. But what is the term of depreciation? How depreciation is calculated in terms of intangible assets? What are intangible assets? It may be copyright, it may be a patent, because we can't touch and feel those things. That is nothing but it is just imaginary. These are nothing but intangible. For that, the term used is amortization. Amortization. See, it is a gradual and systematic writing off of intangible assets over its estimated useful life. For example, patents, copyright, goodwill. So you will try to understand easily. If at all you are reading UPSC, of course you will be knowing the patents, okay, on medicines, okay, till the patent is available. If at all, imagine 20 years the patent is available. After this 20 years the patent is over and a generic medicine on that can be prepared, right? Then in this time, after 20 years, it is called amortization. This 20-year period is called as amortization. Hope you understood, because we are writing of it. Every year we are writing of, and it is a gradual and systematic writing of intangible assets. What are intangible assets? One is patent, copyright, or goodwill. There are many other intangible assets. Then, now you'll understand the depletion. Just imagine there is a coal mine, right? And each and every year the coal is mined from it. But whenever the coal is mined, the amount of coal that is available will be reduced. Then now this reducing coal amount in that land is nothing but depletion. That means the resource is getting depleted. See, it is a measure of exhaustion of wasting assets such as extraction of material from quarry, mine, etc. Extraction reduces the available quantity of material. Example, extraction of coal from coal mine in depleting of coal stock. That means whenever you start mining in a land, if at all you remove certain amount of coal, then this coal availability in this land is reduced, right? This is nothing but depletion of the resource or depletion of any of the assets. Hope you remember we have done accrual assumptions in the previous accounting classes. Although we will try to regain what was the accrual assumptions. See, whenever a transaction takes place in any of the organization, we should note down the transaction even if the amount has got in our hand or not. That means, see, whenever the transactions are recorded in the books of accounts as they occur, even if the payment for that particular product or service has not been received or made, it is known as accrual based accounting. That means whenever the business deal has been done, even though amount has not received or not given, on the day itself it should be mentioned in the accounting. That is nothing but accrual assumption. That means you assume that you have got that amount. This is accrual assumption. An expense is occurred or recorded when the raw material is ordered and not when the actual payment is made. Do remember, the payment is not important here, right? The deal on which date the deal is done, it should be assumed that the amount has been received, and it should be mentioned in the accounting books. This is nothing but accrual assumption. The only drawback of this type of accounting system is that you as a firm might end up paying tax on revenues even when you might have not received its credit. See, whenever the deal has been done or a business approval has been done, although you have not received money, but you will show it in your accounting books. Okay, accounting books. And in order to calculate the income tax, this accounting book is taken into consideration. So even if you have not received the amount, but you will pay income tax on that amount. This is the drawback of that accrual assumption. There are some of the 2 or 3 important terms that need to be discussed. We will discuss it now. It will be the last portion of this class. See, one is provisions, second is reserves. What is provisions? It is an amount set aside by charging it on the profit and loss account to provide for a known liability, the amount of which can't be determined with accuracy. That means you know that there is a liability, but you can't decide it accurately what is the exact amount that is liable. At that time, you will set aside the amount as provisions. That means, see, if at all you have purchased a gold, right? You have purchased gold, and the amount need to be paid is 40,000 rupees. But while buying, he said that the amount will increase if at all the price of the gold will increase. Now he assures that if the amount will decrease, the amount of the gold will decrease, then also you should pay 40k rupees. That is 40,000. At this time, you don't know whether the amount of 40k will increase or will remain stable. So in order to make this liability, you will make a provisions because you don't know what is the exact amount that need to pay, but you know that 40k is the base amount. Above this I need to pay, so therefore it is a provisions. We will read the definition once again, it will be easy to understand. It is an amount set aside by charging into the profit and loss account. Do remember this word, it is charging, that means it is negative. It will be, we will be cancelling this amount from profit and loss account to provide for a known liability. It is a known liability, the amount of which can't be determined with accuracy. Okay, here we are unable to decide the accurate amount. Here we are not fixed that this is accurate. See, provision differs from liability to the extent that provision is an estimated amount while liability is determined amount. As we taken the example of gold, in this 40k is the liability, but above this 40k whatever the amount it will be, it is nothing but provisions because it is not fixed. Next term is reserves. What is reserves? It is an amount set aside out of profits. That means out of profit you are cancelling this amount. Reserves are set to meet a known or unknown contingency that may arise in future. What is contingency? It is emergency. See, if at all you are running an organization and there is a profit of huge margin, and you will keep certain amount as contingency amount, right? That means you are thinking that if in any future time, if there is any emergency, then you will use this amount to this emergency. This is nothing but reserve. You are keeping it as reserve. The amount of reserve when invested it outside securities. Next, what is revenue reserve and capital reserve? There are two types of reserve. One is revenue reserve and one is capital reserve. See, if you consider the company of Raymond, what is the work of this? They will manufacture the cloth and they will sell the cloth. If at all they keep out the reserve amount from this sale revenue, okay, that is after selling the cloth, they will get certain money. Out of this profit amount, if they keep reserve, it is nothing but revenue reserve because they are keeping the money reserved out of the revenue that they have got. And if the Raymond company, okay, has its shares in share market and they have got certain profit on the shares after reselling, right? This amount that they will get is nothing but capital amount, okay, because it is not out of their revenue, it is not out of their daily activity, it is out of their capital amount. And this amount that is kept as reserve from this capital amount is nothing but capital reserve. Hope you have understood. Next, contingent assigned asset and contingent liability. What is contingent? It is emergency. See, a possible asset arises from a past events and their existence will be confirmed only after occurrence or non-occurrence of one or more uncertain future events. It is nothing but emergency asset. Do remember, it is just emergency asset. What is contingent liability? It is emergency liability. In the handouts, we have provided the difference between the provisions and contingent liability. You can read those. We have also completed the social security classes. Okay, we have completed the social security classes. The syllabus is completed, and this is the 9th class of the accounting. We have started English lecturers also, started political science of M. Lakshmikant series. If you are new to the channel and you feel that content is good, please give a thumbs up and do subscribe the channel. Stay tuned.